It's time for another Out of Bounds Rewind with Bo Bounds on ESPN 105.9, The Zone.
And we welcome in our friend Tom Luginbill, national college football analyst, also recruiting with ESPN. And he called the, I don't know if you want to call it a game. Tom may have taken a nap at some point in the third quarter, but Luginbill was calling the Ole Miss Georgia Tech game in Atlanta this past weekend, and he joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Lugs, is Ole Miss that good or Georgia Tech that bad?
Little combination of both. I just think Jeff Collins has lost his football team, and they've had a lot of things not quite go their way, including the pandemic has made it very difficult for that roster to be transitioned when you had, roughly 18 months where you couldn't go out and recruit, you couldn't get kids on campus. Quarterback is ultra talented, but for whatever reason, man, he just doesn't have the goods. And the way Ole Miss started the game, I think Tech was just shell-shocked. I mean, they scored so fast, and then, of course, Georgia Tech follows it up with their third blocked punt of the season. They had two blocked against Clemson, then early you blocked that one, and then Ole Miss kind of just got rolling. I think the thing that I would say about Ole Miss that best describes them is they have done a remarkable job when it comes to the choices they've made in the transfer portal. They've hit on all those guys. They did a ton of research on them. They've clearly improved their football team, and they deserve a lot of credit for it because defensively they're an entirely different football team. Some of the additions they've made on offense, most notably Zach Evans and Jaxson Dart, and then the true freshman running back, Judkins, is just a workhorse. Woo. So they're pretty good. I think, if you notice, there was such an emphasis on running the football. And I think a little bit of that was Lane just trying to send a message to his football team that this is what we're going to have to do when the schedule gets tough. We're not just going to be able to go out there and throw it all over. We're going to have to line up, and we're going to have to be able to effectively run the football. And I think he sent a message to his offensive line that, hey, I want to get you guys ingrained in what it's going to take physically as we start to hit the SEC West gauntlet.
All right, so we've been asking the question, what will we know from Ole Miss because of their schedule? I mean, they played Troy, Central Arkansas, and Georgia Tech. I agree with everything you just said. Now they pull Tulsa. I mean, Kentucky at home and then at Vandy. It's about as good as it gets. I'm not sure we'll know what they are until they have to go to LSU October 22nd. Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's the way the schedule lays out, I think, is really important for them, though, because you've had this quarterback scenario play itself out the way it has, and the schedule's allowed for you to let it work itself out without putting your team in jeopardy, for the most part, okay? You've been able to take a bunch of guys, 27 new players, get them ingrained in your culture, how you do things. So, for example, last week, there were a lot of firsts for that football team. First getting to the airport, getting on the bus, getting to the hotel, traveling to a different city, workout schedule, eating schedule, meeting schedule, with a bunch of guys that haven't necessarily been ingrained in what they do. So to be able to get a lot of that stuff off your plate because of the way the schedule has laid out, they should be primed and ready to be as prepared as they possibly can be when the meat of that schedule hits. Now, I think the thing that we've got to acknowledge here is that clearly LSU's gotten better, okay, and it's corrected some of their issues. Arkansas is a good football team. Mississippi State, despite what happened Saturday night, I still think is going to be problematic. So what Ole Miss can't have is they can't have a bunch of injuries over the next 3 to 4 weeks decimate their roster and to some degree regress as a result. They need to stay healthy between now and when that bulk of the schedule begins.
Okay.
Don't miss one moment of the Out of Bounds Show with Bo Bounds. Weekdays 7 a.m. till 10 a.m. on ESPN 105.9 The Zone.